Jean.
All right, is it ready to go? Thank you.
Yes, I'm ready to go, Chris. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Julie. Hey, welcome to Oblast number 45,326,000 show. You know, I like saying a number because I don't really know what it is, but I know if it's more than one, it's great, and it's been a lot more. I want to welcome all of you to the Oblast show, where we're going to talk about cleaning up the mess of the world through Oblast. I have some really cool people on here tonight. I've actually had them on a long time ago before, and one of the founders reached out to me, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, and was talking about this is what they need to do in the Bahamas, the Caribbean. They get all kind of storms, and I was talking about it, and Janet Butler, she slammed me with a text. Chris, tell that guy to connect with me. That's what we're doing. So I decided to say, what the heck? Let's get him on the show. Actually, I talked to Janet about it a little bit today. It's very interesting. It's very unique, and it's going to be very helpful. And that's what I'm talking about, Oblast. You might have the silliest idea in the world, but that silliest idea might be able to help thousands, maybe even millions of people. So don't think just because you think it's silly or someone laughed at you, you might have a great idea to help people. So on that note, first of all, let me thank everyone that's on here, because I always forget. I do want to do some shout outs. Number one, a very, very happy birthday to my brother, Bruce Gerstein. Always love to see you, Bruce. You make me smile. You keep us all excited and laugh. So, man, I wish you many, many more, brother. I know I always tease you, but, you know, I like having fun. I tease everybody, Bruce. So God bless you, brother. I hope you look damn good for 106. I don't know if I'll be able to make it to 106 years old, but Gene, what are you doing? I said he's 106. Anyway, I also like to thank Julie Wen for helping me run this panel today. And special guest, I'm going to let her announce everyone, is Janet Butler. She's from the Bahamas. She is, listen, I got to know Janet real good in the last, I'd probably say 3 or 4 months. She is not only a wonderful Christian lady, she's a sweetheart. She's married to a beautiful guy. She's got beautiful kids, and they work together like I've never seen a couple work together. It's pretty cool. But as I got to know her more, she just really is a special place in my heart, because everything that she does, she never thinks about herself. She's always thinking about somebody else. Now, a lot of you know her now probably, but they held a group she's a leadership. They held a group in the Bahamas, and they kept it private just for their district. And they grew it up, and they grew it, and they grew it. And I had gone to 1 or 2 of their webinars. I'm like, wow, I actually really enjoyed it. So they didn't hide it from us. They just wanted to strictly work on the people in the Bahamas in the area and teachers. And oh my God, they did such a great job. And if Daryl Cook's on here somewhere, he normally takes notes. I want to thank him, and everyone that's on here. Always thank you. And if you guys pop on and I miss you, I apologize, but I'm going to get this going. I want to turn it over to Janet Butler. Janet Butler, you have the keys to this car. You start it up and throw it in gear, sweetie.
All right, thanks, Chris. Hi everyone. I'm a little nervous. Being on a global type platform is not easy, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I'll start off by saying, yeah, we have I've gotten to know a lot of great people in my community, and when I say my community, the Bahamas is made up of a lot of different islands and keys, and we've got 17 main islands. And so when On Passive, when I was first introduced to On Passive, it was an opportunity to start sharing the benefits of On Passive, and I really saw what it could, the possibilities of how the products and the tools and the income opportunity could change our communities. So my husband and I, his name is Eden, just like the famous garden. All right, so that's EDEN. So we had a mission to set out. We've dabbled in online opportunities before, but we had a mission to set out to at least get 100 people in the Bahamas, because it's just a small country. Well, we did supersede that, but one of our major goals was we knew that the opportunity was going to change our communities. And so as we got people in, we encouraged people to reach out to their family and friends. And our whole mission was always about reach out to your family and friends. You don't have to, you don't have to try and share this or grow this. If you're not the type of person that can do this, bring them to our webinar, and let us talk to them. Let us teach them. Let us explain what this opportunity is about. And we were able to teach a lot of people how to get on their computer, and just join webinars, how to get on their computer and log into their accounts. Some people, we even had to, teach them how to set up their emails. But we ended up creating a community of people through just helping and sharing and inspiring. And what it evolved into was, everybody started wanting to go out, and as people came in, they wanted to start sharing in their community. Oh, I want to help my neighborhood. I want to help my church. My church needs this. This. So we just had people starting to come to us and say, help us. How can I help my people? We want to grow. And then through Chris inspiring me about Bless, and hearing about all the different things that he wanted to do, it again transcended from us going back to our community that we were creating. And then we started having conversations about how we're going to give back and what we're going to do. And as people kept coming every week, and started sharing, we started realizing how many of us had the exact same visions and the exact same ideas. And we knew we just knew this wasn't a coincidence. We really saw that there was a bigger movement going on that was beyond us, that our Creator had to have been inspiring. And the more, we started asking others to reach out, I mean, it just grew. So we have a couple of different pockets of different things that are happening in our community. But I want to share tonight the one that was closest to my husband and I's heart, to Eden and I's heart. Eden always had a passion for hurricane shelters. And I always had a passion for community centers. So as we started talking to people, and I'm going to introduce you to about 4 different people that I know are here tonight. And one of the ladies who's going to come on next, and I'm going to let them share, because what they're sharing is exactly the same vision. And so I want others to be able to speak up. And this is, and what I would like to encourage everyone to do is start, getting everyone in your little pockets of communities to speak up. So right now I'm going to introduce Alicia Garland. Alicia Garland is someone that I've known for, oh gosh, probably 30 years at least. She was a Mrs. Garland. She's a senior. I always respected her. She knew me as a child. She was my neighbor across the street. So again, this is very much how it's going to show you how the community it grows. And she's going to come on and tell you, and she's got the model. All right. So Alicia, if you're here, I'm going to have you, if you can open up your mic and speak. We'd love to, I'd love them to see the model. And I've got pictures I can show.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Janet, for this opportunity. Never in my wildest dream did I think I would ever be on one of your global webinars. And like Janet says, it's a little nerve-wracking. And so please bear with me. I am very happy to be a part of Unpassive. I was introduced by Janet, who for my family, a whole lot of my family are now members of Unpassive, and looking forward to the changes that it will make in our lives, in our community, in our churches, and everywhere. Like Janet spoke about the hurricane shelter, it's a passion of ours, and some of the people that are in the group, they're also having the same ideas. And it was like unnerving, wondering how could everybody have the same passion for the same thing and not even know each other. But I am the assistant director at a center in Grand Bahama, which is one of the islands. I live in Freeport. And it is called the Evangelion Jervis Community Service Distribution Center. Now, this distribution center is named in honor of my mom, but it is really owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Freeport, Grand Bahama. We've been around for many years as a part of the Freeport community, but and we have grown and we became a non-profit organization because of what we did. What we had going on with us for a while is we have a center. We started out offering hot meals to those persons in need in the community, and they would come in and they would receive hot meals. During Dorian, which is, I mean, those of you who have never experienced a hurricane cannot even imagine the devastation. It was the worst thing I've had in my lifetime, and I'm senior. Janet, as Janet alluded to, I've been around the block for a couple of years. And what happened was, during the hurricane, our church fellowship hall was used as a shelter. During the hurricane, the roof was compromised. So the individuals had to move from the hurricanes, from the fellowship hall into our sanctuary. So here now, our sanctuary is housing over 300 plus people. And what they did not do in the sanctuary, it was desecrated, decimated, everything happened. And so after that, we ended up having to gut the whole sanctuary and have to redo it all over again. So the members got together and said, this cannot happen again. And so they say the best thing to do is to design and build a dedicated hurricane shelter. There is no dedicated hurricane shelter in the Bahamas, in Freeport. During the hurricanes, they go to buildings that can house them, churches, schools, auditoriums. This is what is used as hurricane shelters. But we have started the very first dedicated hurricane shelter in the Bahamas. And we're very proud of what we're doing, and we're looking forward to finishing it. When I was introduced to Ampasif, I said, wow, this is exactly what we need so that we can finish this hurricane shelter, because the funds came from donations from members of the church, members of the community. And so whatever we did, whatever we have done to this far, and it's over 4,000 square foot building, because we need to make it a size where it's also manageable. And we've what we've done so far, we're on the completing end now. It also is already the walls are up, the windows are in. We use the partitioning is in. There's a kitchen there with a great big hall, empty space inside where we can house the people with partitions and bunks that can be removed. And because our hurricane season is from June to November, we can't just have the hurricane shelter just sitting there doing nothing during the year. So it is also going to be used as a community service center where people can come in every day for a hot meal. We can have classes teaching people, helping with homework, teaching classes, cooking classes, vegetarian cooking classes, health sessions. It's going to be utilized by the public. The hurricane season started in June 1st. We were hoping to be able to have it completed because the peak of the season is actually September. September, October, those are our worst months, and we were hoping to have it done by then. We're still hoping. It's not done yet, but we're hoping that it can get through. So as soon as we get, that is why we took out an account, especially for the center, to be able to complete it and to maintain it. So we're looking forward to better days when we will be in our shelter, utilizing it properly. And the ideas that we get from Unpassive will also help us. And like we said, we are able, since we already have the model, the plan, everything has been passed and is made to hurricane standards. So we are willing to share our plans, and anybody who is in need of this, or with the groundwork we've already done, the legwork we've already done, like Janet said, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. Wherever we can assist, we are willing to help. So I thank you for this opportunity to share tonight, and I pass it on.
Thank you. Thank you. So as you can see, it's that dual model. So right now, what I'm going to do is ask Jeffrey Pinder. He's going to come on and share just a little bit more of how the idea is moving. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good night to all Amphibians. My name is Jeffrey Pinder, and first of all, I want to take this opportunity to say to our CEO, Mr. Ashton for envisioning this opportunity for all of us. I, like a lot of us in this organization, have been for a long time looking for an avenue to create passive income, and also looking for funding sources or the ability to be able to create wealth, and also to have funds sufficient enough to do a lot of the work that I've already been engaged in. My background is also based in community building. I'm a former senior executive for our government in the Ministry of Tourism. Janet and I are connected on one of my community-based projects. And when I learned about this opportunity was through Janet, and I pretty much jumped on it. I'm a coordinator. I don't know if anybody have heard of a US-based nonprofit called the Samaritan's Purse. I've been a coordinator, project manager for the organization, and what they do, they're a Christian organization, and what they do is they go around the world, post hurricane or any natural disasters anywhere around the world. And I had the privilege of leading about 25 guys through the process of rebuilding to the best that we can with the limited resources we had. If I could just back up a little bit, and I'm not sure, I know there are disasters that most of us would have experienced at some point around the world, whether it's tsunamis or typhoons, but hurricanes are unique to the Caribbean. And the Bahamas are sitting closer to the United States in the north and the northeast, but it extends all the way throughout the Caribbean, and we're very vulnerable. And specific, Grand Bahama is one of the many islands that seem to have been since 2003 impacted by several hurricanes. What this has done for our country, and specifically for our island, is put pressure on us during the months of June to November, where we have to scramble from a management standpoint to find locations in the event that we're going to be impacted by a hurricane. Where do we take those persons who need to go to shelters? Bearing in mind that most of our islands are surrounded by water, and most of the population lives along the coastline. And for our members of the Caribbean, you can relate to what I'm talking about. I live on the most western part of Grand Bahama Island, called West End, which is about 55 miles away from West Palm Beach. And we are very vulnerable to storms. And this is the one side of the island where there is no shelters available. This means that when there's an announcement for a hurricane to impact the island within 36 hours, the government makes preparation for us to evacuate, okay? And the truth be told, there is not a lot of spaces for us to go to. So we end up, like Janet said, in churches. We go to churches or some convenient hall, gymnasiums. And these facilities are designed for schools and for whatever they're designed for, but they're not specifically designed for hurricanes. So people end up leaving their homes and they go into these facilities, and they're not adequately outfitted. There's not sufficient space, bathroom facilities. In the case of emergencies, people with diabetes or any other illnesses that need to be managed, there's a challenge with that. I face a challenge in West End, where if a storm was to impact us now, we have to be forced to evacuate it because there's no shelters in the area. So it's ironic that here we are, all in the same island, and all of us having the same general idea, but don't have, one, the resources to be able to execute our plan of getting a facility, and secondly, not having a space in the event of a storm ready for us to go to. So we had a conversation in our last webinar, and we were all kind of trying to figure out, okay, if each of us have these general ideas, we've concluded that once these apples start to come in, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to build shelters in our communities, whereby people who live in the communities where they are, they don't have to leave, and they don't have to worry about being impacted by the storm and so forth. My idea is similar to Ms. Garland's idea and Janet's idea, which is to put a shelter in the community. But that would require us to build a facility find staffing to manage it. And then there's the operational cost of and all of that. So the conclusion we came to is that once our apples come in, there's already a platform in place. The platform is with the churches. The churches are already doing outreaches throughout the communities. They know their church membership. They have extensions through the government, through our social service department and all these other agencies that support community development. So why reinvent the wheel? Why not empower them by giving them the resources to build proper facilities that can, one, facilitate our need for hurricane shelter within the community. And then secondly, when there's no storm, these facilities can be utilized for community development. I do recall some webinars back, I don't know how long ago it was, but we, Chris, if you recall, we were discussing the possibility of creating what is considered, for lack of a better term, a conveyor belt, if you will, where somebody comes in to a facility at one state, whether it's mental illness or poverty or lack of work or employment or lack of training. And when they leave out on the other side, they will be well equipped to go out and to be self-sufficient. We know that OBLES is not the vehicle for us to feed people fish every day. It is to help people become self-sufficient and independent. And so what we have concluded is that by building these facilities in the communities where we live, we're given each of the communities now to grow on its own. And that's going to take stress off the government's already strained resources for emergency services and the rest of it. So we're thinking community center / hurricane center that can accommodate anywhere between 300 to 500 persons comfortably. We're also considering that we're now in the COVID-19 era. And while COVID-19 is not gone, it's manageable. So we have to prepare for adequate spacing for families and so forth. And we think this is the best solution, the way forward for the Bahamas. We are going to be impacted one way or the other by storms and the way forward because of the effects of climate change. And so I think we're helping everybody in this whole process by dedicating funds to either constructing or rebuilding existing facilities and making them adequate for hurricane centers and also for community centers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, JP. Yep, and one of the, I just want to add to that is a lot of churches have current software that they're using to manage their churches. So we're excited about showing them all of the product suite and tools that that OnPassive has to offer. And then, of course, encourage them, we have actually quite a few churches in the Bahamas that already have foundership positions. So we know that we've already got that part in place. And those that don't, as we introduce the tools, they can also have reseller accounts, obviously, so that they'll have a source of income as well. So also now joining, I'm gonna invite Albert. Albert is from Antigua, and of course not the Bahamas, but still we consider all those other islands a part of our Caribbean nation. And so he's going to go ahead and he's going to elaborate on another factor that we've added to our plan. Go ahead, Albert.
Janet, pleasant good evening to all, Chris and all the other leaders, saying good evening, good morning, good night to wherever you are. I'm Albert, as Janet said, and I'm from Antigua. Hurricane shelters has always been my passion, likewise with Janet's husband and Jeff. And what drives me with this is the fact that we sit back and watch the governments do nothing about it. I mean, they are fully aware of the problem. Year after year, hurricane season after hurricane season, they've seen the effects of persons being in shelters. The ability to get to them in case of emergency. Not only that, then we're looking at security, because a lot of persons have suffered from being in shelters. here's if you have your personal belongings, and if you don't keep a keen eye on them, things are going missing. And just like Jeff said, we're still in the COVID season, and we have to be mindful of the close contact. And that is why we decided, let's go and build a hurricane center where we're providing the security, one, and we're providing privacy, two, to families. You want a family who is displaced from home in the community center, in their schools, and do not have privacy. You have girls, you have your kids, and you don't have the privacy. So the Hurricane Center will provide some level of privacy and security for these families who are displaced. In addition to that, we look at unpassive, we came into unpassive with the intention of having time freedom, financial freedom. And in the interest of the time freedom aspect of things, we decided, let's team up with, for us here in Antigua, the National Office of Disaster Services, and that will take off the responsibility of the founders and give that to these government organizations which have been managing shelters throughout the country during a national disaster. By teaming up with them, they've been providing the resources, human resources, the supervisors, volunteers, and the whole 9 years. The founders are free to do other things or concentrate on other aspects. And we figure that's the best way for us here at this side of the island to maximize with the hurricane centers, to have to team up with the National Office of Disaster. They know the layout, they have the plan. Not only that, all the resources that they would have used during the hurricane season in the schools and in the churches, having the resources being scattered across the country. Now we can concentrate them now on the shelters. We have more control, more management by having enough adequate manpower in a specific location. It also makes transportation to and from the shelter to possibly the hospital or the clinic more feasible, because you're not all over the island, you're in a general location. Now, as Jeff said, we are looking to build shelters to accommodate 300 to 500 persons, and that will be a lot manageable. Differently from that, we're looking at resources. Once again, the objective of the Hurricane Center is to take the pressure off of the government as it relates to water or even electricity. We don't want to build a shelter and then it still becomes a burden to the government. So one, by teaming up with the National Office of Disaster Preparedness, they provide the resources, and two, we providing the utilities for these shelters. So the government is out of the loop, there is no pressure, and they will be more than happy to welcome such initiative. All right. And lastly, what we look at is the efforts coming from volunteers. As I said before, our aim is to free up the founders. We didn't want to be, here we are, financial freedom, time freedom, and yesterday we've been burdened down with the responsibility of shelters or community centers. So by having volunteers coming in, even if we have to give them a stipend for the assistance, it's not a problem. The funds will be more than adequate to provide such relief to the volunteers. And finally, as it relates to finance, as it relates to resources for the shelters, food, and other resources. Once again, the founders are responsible for, as long as people are in the shelters, they taking care of the needs of the people, not putting the pressure on the government. We're providing the meals, we're providing the ration for every occupant in the hurricane shelters. So the objective is to really take the pressure off of the government and to bring well-deserved and needed resources for the people in the Caribbean countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Albert.
Janet, you take as much time as you want, Janet, to reply back to you.
All right, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna open up for Raphael. Raphael is going to touch on one more aspect of it. Go ahead, Raphael.
What's up, all? Raphael here, and I am your friend. Yes, we decided that with these hurricane shelter community centers, that we want to establish like one model that we can use straight across the board. We don't want, we're going to be doing them individually, but we want to use one particular model. Like Ms. Garland has her model already. So we're thinking about using that particular model straight across the board in all of the islands. Here in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean islands, we just want to be set up with that one model where we have that one building that can house 300 to 500 people. You have your own water supply, your own electricity supply. And during the times when we're out of that hurricane season, we're going to use these buildings to house women that's in need. We're going to use the buildings to supply the needy. We're going to supply food and shelter for kids if they need it. You know, we're going to bring people in that during those periods of times that we're not in the hurricane season, we can teach people to go out there and take care of themselves. You know, if you need counseling, women need counseling, we will have counselors in the buildings. If the kids need somewhere to do homework and other stuff, we'll have those facilities in these buildings also. That's what I want to say.
Great. And we just feel that by going the route of reaching out to the churches, they know the needs of their communities. They know the needs of what's going on around. So with that, that's pretty much where we're at. And I hope that we've encouraged you to look into your communities, find like-minded people in your communities that are founders, or when we start doing the resellers option, looking out and growing from within. I firmly believe, you know, we're in so many countries around the world. And if we all start with our neighborhoods, we all start with our communities and find those people that are doing it and providing the resources, we're going to be there. We have one more person, and then I will turn it back to Chris. We have Mirthlyn Butler, and she's representing Nevis. Mirthlyn, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Good night, everyone. Thanks, Janet, for inviting me. I really don't have anything to share. I'm just going to back up what Albert said, because he's in my neighboring island. So basically what goes for Antigua basically would have the same thing for Nevis. So, you know, I'm just happy to get ideas and partner with all of you guys. So,
fabulous. And that really supports what we're talking about. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's find what's working. Let's just highlight the good. There's so much good in the world. We just need to highlight it. And I hope that one day our news channels all around the world will be filled with the positive things that are going on in the world and not the focus of the negative. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some founders out there that are going to take over some of these TV stations, and that's going to be their mission. And they're going to go and look around and see what all the founders are doing, and let's just change the way that it is. And the good is out there. We just have to showcase it. That's what we're about.
I'm all for that.
Back to you, Chris. Yes.
What do you want to give it back to me for? You're doing a great job.
Well, you can open it up for questions.
Listen, you got a really big heart, you guys. I appreciate it. And you know, I hear this a lot, what you guys are saying, let's not reinvent the wheel. I'm going to change it just for a different perspective. Okay. You know me, I'm crazy. And I think so much different than a lot of people. I don't even understand myself sometimes, but I do want to reinvent the wheel. I want to reinvent people's lives so they don't have to continue to worry about, after what, 3,000 years, why we don't have shelters for hurricanes. Okay. I want to reinvent the wheel for, hey, you don't have to go to work if your family's sick because you can stay home and take care of them now. I have a lot of reinventing that I want to do personally, but I kind of want you to think the same thing. You guys, believe it or not, are reinventing the wheel. You just get rid of the wheel altogether. All right. Because you're talking about reinventing lives. You guys are taking human lives that have really been, I mean, how many people get crammed into one of these churches? Raphael, you get Jana, how many people actually, oh, hey, we got a hurricane, everyone get in that church. I mean, is there enough people to get crammed in one church, or what's the number?
I mean, it's just, they're all different sizes, but yes, it's definitely overpopulated. I mean, it's definitely beyond the code
Right.
for what it's allowed. So
Let me ask you this question. How many bathrooms are in that church? That's just
oh my gosh, they're minimal because again, they're only there to service people for a few hours once a week and during service. So no.
So yeah, sometimes we have to reinvent the wheel for the better, where we could take that wheel and we could turn that wheel into a beautiful shelter, we'll say, with plenty of toilets, plenty of things. But you guys are doing something that no one ever thought about before. Why wasn't it never thought about? Governments, we talk about that all the time. And I don't want to say that bad because they might be listening to me, but I don't care. They're no good for any, they've never done any good for anybody. We got people from all over the world in this company right now, through Impassive, through Ashmafar's his dream, saying, wow, we can really do this. Yeah. And I want you to tell yourself that. I want you to look right at Raphael's face. All right. I look at him and I can already see we could do this. I look at Janet and she's saying we could do this. Alicia, Mirthaland, for God's sake, Engineer Mike is saying we can do this. That's the mindset that we have to believe. There's going to be people out there say, what do you mean build shelters for the people that live in paradise? Well, you see, guys, we think they live in paradise, and maybe they do have beautiful weather and beautiful conditions, but when that big old black cloud comes rolling in and they got to run their entire family, whether if it's a baby or someone that's 95 years old, to a shelter with 1-2 toilets, all right, that's just me thinking, because I got to go to the bathroom once in a while, just like all you got to. And if I got 600 people crammed into a church, God bless the church, and that's how I think. I don't think about the real big things sometimes. I think about those little things that matter, about the brand new baby that was just born and is crammed in with quite a few people and germs, viruses. And then I jump up to the 95, the 100-year-old person is still alive, and you're jamming them in there and they're frail and fragile. And do you think the governments, or let's say, do you think people in the past really thought about that situation? No, they didn't. Let's be honest with ourselves. So go ahead, Janet.
You know what else, Chris? Most churches already have plans in place for community centers and distribution centers. And even schools, they just don't have the funding to expand it. And here in this country, most of them have an ample amount of land to do so. So when we start approaching them, we're just gonna be making their dreams come true and have their plans come to fruition. So we don't have to go and buy land. There's so much red tape that we're gonna be able to avoid.
What's the life worth? I mean, you've heard me say this a million times. What is Janet Butler's and her family's lives worth where no one really looked at this? Okay, the government came in, they built you some churches. God bless that. That's a great thing. They did something so small and such a humongous scale it needs to be. Thank God that they did put something like that to help people. But I never asked this. What's the statistics when a storm like that comes through, and how many people actually don't make it to that church or to that structure? Or do people?
Many people don't go because the conditions that they're going to have to be in is worse than what's at home. So they end up in the rafters of their roofs. But I see Albert has his hand up, Chris, so why don't we let him pipe in? I think he has a something.
Albert, you got that real tan hand. I couldn't see it, buddy. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes. One other thing I wanted to add is the government put the responsibility on the churches, the pastors. I can talk about here. The government was saying to the pastors, please ensure that your church is accommodating for persons. Now, the government is not helping the churches, but it's putting a demand on the church, the pastors, to say, make sure your church building is conducive to accommodate people as a shelter. And a lot of the churches over the years has begun to deteriorate. Not only that, for the schools, a lot of the times, depends on what time the hurricane do come. When it's time for school, the schools can't reopen because they still have persons in the schools as a shelter and unable to get back to their home because part of their home might have been destroyed and so on and so forth. So it's a rippling effect. It disrupts everything because schools can't reopen. You have persons in the schools. Their homes got destroyed. The church can't operate because you still have people in the church as a shelter. So this is so timely to mitigate all of these different things. Thanks.
Thank you, Albert. Raphael, I noticed you got your hand up. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, another thing that I want to mention why the hurricane shelters are so badly needed is that if you look at our islands, most of our islands are so very small. If a hurricane or something is coming, we have nowhere to run. You know, like the island I live on the island of Eleuthera. We're 110 miles long, but we're only 2 miles at our widest point. So if there's a hurricane or something coming, where do we run? You know, the hurricane shelters are needed in all of the islands. They have some islands that are even smaller than this one that I'm on. You know, the other thing is that I want to mention this. Me personally, I want to keep the governments out of it as much as possible because I don't want after it's done that no one comes showing their faces, want to take pictures and everything like that, just get their face in, because this has been happening before I was born. You know, I'm in my 50s. This has been happening before I was born. Why didn't they do something before for us before that? You know, I just want to contribute that.
Thank you, Raphael. Alicia, you go right ahead because I know you got something good to say. And Jeff, you're right after Alicia.
Okay, I'd like to say that the government has done what it could. Our problem is we do not have the funds to do it. And so, I don't want to make it sound like it's all bad. It's not all bad. They've done the best they could with what they had. And so this is why this opportunity that is afforded us now is a great one, because we will have the funds to do what is needed, and we will be able to help a whole lot more. And we will be relieving the government of some of the pressure that they have because they want to do better, but we just don't have the funds to do it. And so I think that instead of beating them up, that we just need to lift them up and support them and do what we can so that we can make it better. And a lot of people don't, they go where they go to the shelters. Some people stay at home, yes, but some people go to the shelters because that's the best that they can do. And it's better than staying at home. So even though the conditions at the centers aren't great, they're still better off in the shelters because they are being protected. So it's just like with joining on Passive Founders it's gonna help us to provide what is really needed. Like I said, there's no specifically built hurricane shelter in the Bahamas. So now this is new. We're moving on. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And I thank all the administrators and all the founders and everybody that has brought us to this point with the hope. We now have hope of making it better. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is hope. And so we're looking forward to that day when the apples start coming in and we can get our dreams filled in. That's it.
Okay, Alicia, I need a cup of Alicia every morning with that positivity in us. I love that. That was beautiful. You're right. We're not trying to blame people here. We know there's some things at fault here and there, but I think every one of us have to have a cup of Alicia every single morning to give us that positive thought. So Alicia, I appreciate what you just said. Thank you very much. Jeff, do you think you could top that lady? I don't know. It's going to be tough, brother. It's going to be tough.
We're on the same page. That's the bottom line. Here's a thought. I like to consider this opportunity as an avenue to partner. The key word is partnership. We're the biggest global partners that never existed. And I think that's the only way to see it. If you don't see it that way, then you can find faults in the people that we've relied on for so long to be the kind of support that we've needed. And the truth be told is governments are regulators. We have been put in the position where they've been forced to take on these other roles because of us not being able to do what we want to do for ourselves. And on passive is the avenue to reverse that. I mean, almost immediately reverse that. So I see a partnership. The partnership, there's some good and there's some bads in there, but the partnership will allow us to take, like Albert said, the stress, the pressure off the government. And not only that, we're providing hope. Hope is the key word. I love the word. Two words I love is hope and opportunity. We're providing hope for people who don't have to now develop mental illnesses or stress, because here comes the potential threat of a hurricane. And oh my God, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any food. I don't have a car. I don't have medication. I can barely take care of myself and my 5 children or my whatever your personal situation is. By us going in this direction, we have first of all taken this pressure over off our neighbors. And if we take this pressure off our neighbors, they're less inclined to face fatality or death as a result of stress-related illnesses. And bear in mind, the real issues with hurricanes impacting or any natural disaster is not doing the natural disaster itself. It's the aftermath. You know, so if I go into a storm knowing that I'm going to a shelter that is adequate enough that when the storm passes, it is good. There's a good possibility that my house was destroyed. So I don't have to stress and worry about getting out of the shelter and going to the house, because the shelter is providing with an adequate space and an appropriate time frame for me to be able to get back on my feet, because all the basic needs that I have will be met in the center. And so while there's clearance of the road and moving of debris and trying to find adequate places to find clean drinking water, I mean, we're facing these circumstances right now. And bear in mind, we just had a storm 2 years ago. Okay, we've heard the anniversary of Hurricane Dorian, the worst storm that has ever impacted the country. And to this very day, there are persons in our community who have not gone back into the houses they lived in before the storm. It's just traumatic for them, okay? And besides that, they've been displaced, either moved to a different island. There's some 1,500 plus persons that were confirmed missing because of the storm. Imagine the families that remain and the stress that they have to deal with, knowing that the house is gone, and plus they have to find ways to now cope with the loss of the lost family members, and the spill off, it just spirals downhill. So I see a partnership, okay? On passive provides this partnership that's going to reverse that level of stress. We are the correction right now. I'm a part of this organization. I'm a part of this movement. I'm a part of this great movement that's going to be that correction to the issues that were created, whether it's the fault of the government or the person itself. I know for sure we can't fix, like Ash says, we can't fix everybody, but we can fix somebody. And that's generally the attitude that I have towards it. So you could imagine us having a facility that immediately after storm, you have no idea when you can get on the road, but it has adequate water supplies and all of these things that you really need. That's amazing. And having the network of support from the Passivians, that in the event that you need to raise additional funds, we now have access to a tool or a vehicle that can help us bring our neighbors back to what it was before, or even better. You know.
Jeff, you froze. Are you done? Your internet, or it's my internet? Okay. Hey, Jeff, you did it. You tied. I'm going to give you two a tie. Excellent what you're saying. I just look at it as here's a less than a handful of people on here that really truly cares about community, about families. In other words, what they did is they took the community, they built another community, and they surrounded it with this beautiful bubble saying, hey, we care. We care. We could do something about this. We now have someone that can help us fund these projects. And if you really think about it, and I'll go back to Papua New Guinea. We talk about Papua New Guinea a lot. They're not asking for, hey, you guys all come on over here and let's do this. They're saying, hey, just give us some funds. We got the people, the mindset to do it right. Just like you guys. You guys got the right mindset because you want to do something. I've said this for years. Doing something is better than doing nothing. I've said that my entire life since I was a little kid because my dad instilled it into me. Doing something is better than doing nothing. And you guys are doing more, you guys and gals, excuse me, are doing more than something. You're not thinking about your little house. You're thinking about all the houses, all the people. And that's people I love. See, in passive, me, myself, and I is not allowed, and that's Chris Johnson's rule. All right. But when I see these individuals like we've had, not just on this show, but other shows in Oblast, and I see, yep, these are not me, myself, and I people. These are, hey, grab my hand. You grab a broom, you grab a stick. Let's build it. Let's clean it. And let's just do this because you're doing something. Okay. And believe it or not, this little bit of something that you're doing right now is going to progress into something a lot bigger. I think it's going to go a lot bigger than just what you're saying now, because I think it's huge now. But what it's going to grow when the funds come in, and people, once again, are going to be looking at the Bahamas, a country that is the same situation where maybe they have a different kind of storm, fires, like Australia has a lot of fires. They're going to say, wait, we got to do what they're doing. Look, these people got together and they did something. They protected themselves. All right, we can't predict the weather. Boy, if we can predict the weather. Boy, I know Ash is smart. I don't think he's that smart. He can predict the weather. We'd be all set with this, you know. Hey, you know, he say you're going to have a hurricane. Now, I don't know. What do they give you? They give you a week or two before a hurricane. Jeff, I'm asking you this. How long do that give you a warning where the hurricane's really going to be here? Where the eye of the storm, they call it. How long does that usually take?
You got about 36. So you got 36 hours. It's time to go to a shelter because in 36 hours within that window, you can have the full impact of the storm.
Wow. That's not a lot of time. If you think it's just like you know, in the States or anywhere, a tornado can hit at any time. They kind of give you a warning. They're seeing something in the sky, but they don't know for sure. And most of the time it's false. Mm-hmm. But we're hiding. Listen, I hope to God they always give an alarm for any storm and it's a falsie. If I got to hide under a table or under the stairs or in a shelter for an hour and it saves my life, even though nothing came through, I'm thankful for it. So, Jeff, I don't know what to tell you. You guys are on such a great thing here. And this is what I'm loving. New things coming every single week. And that's what I want to say. Does anyone on here have any kind of questions or maybe they'd like to add to it? Please raise your hand. I would love to hear. Oh, I knew this guy would come on. This we call him the sweet man, Daryl Cook. Daryl, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hey, I came on because I needed a break from typing. You know, folks, what I've learned, I grew up in the United States and my daughter moved to the Bahamas in 1998. She's lived there longer than she lived in the States. And I just did a little calculation. I think roughly the population of the Bahamas is about 0.001 of the United States. Now, I grew up in a relatively weather safe area. Yeah, we've had our windstorms and snowstorms and all of that. But since I've been on the Oblast campaign, if I can say that, and taking notes, I've learned so much from other countries' devastation and desperation. And it's brought me to a whole new level of that mindset that you were talking about, Chris. I have no idea what it must be like to live in Kenya or Malawi or the Bahamian Islands as a full-time resident. I went through one hurricane, but it was only like a 1.2 or 3. Well, let me tell you what, that was enough. I don't need a 4 or 5. But I have witnessed the aftermath. I was down with Janet and her group this past winter, but the grassroots endeavors that I've seen in all of these country folks is what's absolutely mind-blowing, because you've been doing it for so many, your whole life, as Raphael said. You know, they've seen this their whole lives. And I'm telling you, the wisdom of Alicia to be able to take the calm of the storm into her life. And what do? You just provide as much as you can. And now, as you all have said, when those resources come, you got the perfect storm. We saw it with our little movement of trying to get the educational system in a better place in the Bahamas. You folks network beyond belief. And I'm talking, I've seen it now in all these people groups that are talking about Oh Bless. You are involved in a powerful mind meld. You also have done the physical. I mean, I've seen it. Janet has mentioned many churches in the Bahamas. They've got all these things set up. Alicia, my daughter worked at the Adventure Learning Center. I know that beautiful facility that the Seventh-day Adventists have next to the Adventure Learning Center. I don't know where you get the resources, you folks, but the people just give and give and give. Can you imagine what's going to happen when On Passive starts to give back? Wow. Thank you so much. You've just encouraged me even beyond how much you've encouraged me. Thanks for letting me rattle.
Thanks, Daryl. I can listen to that rattle all day long. And once again, thank you for always typing these notes out. I do appreciate that. And you will in the future when you guys see what he's done. So, Brian, please unmute yourself. Daryl, once again, thank you.
I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity to bless and On Passive for giving us here in the Bahamas the platform to be able to present our case where we can be a model. Because I've heard Albert Reid, particularly Alicia Garland, she's like a sister to me. I lived in two places in the Bahamas. I lived in Grand Bahama, moved to New Providence in 1999. So I fared all the hurricanes, and my past life, I'm just doing an introductory so you can understand when I speak about the hurricanes. I've never lived in my house during any hurricane in the Bahamas from the time I was an adult, because I always worked. That's the environment I worked in. And since then, I became a member of NEMA. So from that background, that backdrop, I just want to comment on Albert Reid's comment that once we have a designated location, physical structure, the Disaster Preparedness Act of the Bahamas actually has that where it actually can use that, in Defense Force officers, you have nurses, social workers that can outfit the human element, professional support that's required. So it is nothing that we control, it's the law. Once you have a disaster, that part of the act takes over. Defense Force officers and other personnel comes in, health personnel comes in to assist. So we're gonna have an opportunity to allow OBLESS to bless us more, because once we get help with this infrastructure and we're moving, it will just take us off and parachute us to another level, because we do need the help. We do need the manpower. We do need the infrastructure. But this platform, OBLESS, is going to help us greatly, because particularly Grand Bahama, and Alicia spoke to it earlier, I won't speak so long. Grand Bahama and Abaco is basically in the traffic of all hurricanes that come through this area of the Western world. I live in Nassau. We don't have it as often, but it devastates those two islands, and it's really a tragedy what Dorian did to us. But I'd like to say thank you again for allowing us to be on this platform where we can actually provide relief, provide an opportunity to help more persons than we would have helped in the past. And I'd just like to say thank you again.
Thank you, Brian. Wonderful, man. Where are you guys coming from? Where's all these gems been hiding? That's not what I want to know. Someone's been pulling weeds, and look at these roses popping up. Brian, I appreciate those wonderful words. Engineer Mike, what you got, my brother?
Hello, everybody. Good evening, our leaders. So to me, I will not call this, I will say Team Island, because it's Team Island. Because I can see Albert is coming from a different island, Jack from another island. I can see Miss Janet Butler from another island, everybody meddling for a different island. So I'll just say thank you, Team Island. Thank you very much, Miss Janet, for everything you do. To me, I just, excuse me, I look at it in a different perspective. When I look at those islands and I think about Hurricane Katrina, which was between August the 23rd to August the 31st of 2005, just for 8 days. The disaster that Hurricane Katrina caused in the United States in Louisiana, oh my goodness. So this is in America, United States of America, with all the facilities and all what the weather checks that they have provisions to do all of these things. But go to the islands, we don't even have them. So talking about the infrastructure will be a very big deal. And this will go a great big way where what Jeff was saying. It will go a big, it will solve the situation, because this platform we're using Obless to do a lot of stuff in the world, right? I was in the webinar on Friday with the Somalian community, Friday the 22nd, last Friday. What I told them was that, I mean, what OnPassive will be doing for us, the platform that Mr. Aj Mufare has created for us will lead us. It will help us to change the stories. We will write different stories in different communities in the world. All those economic aspects, that some concepts that used to happen, like they will write, they'll say, okay, this is equals to this. OnPassive will change that history. It's a different ball game, okay? We're coming with different kind of disruptive technology that will help us in this platform to help other people. Like I said, Jeff just said, okay, I said it. I can't help everybody, but I can help someone. I can change someone's world. So this platform that he created for us, we'll use it to change stories in the world. We'll use it to bless other people. So let's just keep together, keep being together, working as a team with Mr. Ash's leadership, through Chris Johnson, we can make this happen. Thank you, everybody.
Chris, if you don't mind, I do want to add something to that. Engineer Mike, that's so on point. What I want to say is, you know how when Ash first started OnPassive and he had his image and vision of what it was going to be, and in the now we look where we are now and we see how much it's grown, and that's because he has been in it, and all the tech people that are building everything, they've been in it, and as he kept adding people and adding partners and adding everyone to it, and it started to grow, and you see how it grew way bigger than what he imagined. Well, us founders, we're just at the beginning. We're just at the beginning, and we're just doing the vision. We're just doing the thinking. And look at how much we're already imagining that we're going to change the world and make a difference in our communities. Imagine now, once we get started and we start doing, and we all stick together, and we now have people come and join us. I mean, we're going to look back 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and if we watch this, and we're going to say, oh my gosh, look at those small little ideas we had. The same way that Ash commented about the old founders platform. Oh, blow it up. We got something way better now. And that's what's going to happen. And we just need to stick together. and we may not be able to stick together in these big, huge Zoom meetings, you know, once a week. And that's why I want to encourage everyone to, you know, physically get out there and find those people in your communities, because when you start working together physically with one another, we are going to the same vision that Ash had and what it is now today. That's how beautiful and big it's going to blow up. And I'm sorry for piping in, but I just had to input that.
No, you can pipe in any time you want with wonderful words. Thank you, Janet. Michael, thank you very much. Obviously, you listen, when every one of us say something or speak, believe it or not, it's igniting something in someone else's head. I might be able to say a sentence or a paragraph, and maybe three of you might think of something, wow, I can add to that. All right. That's what I love, because that's where I get a lot of my inspiration or things that I want to talk about, by listening to you guys. All right. Not just the simple things Mike was just saying, which wasn't simple, very important, sparked an interest in Janet. Said, oh, whoa. I didn't know if she was going to smack him or hug him at first. I'm like, oh boy, you know, but that's why it's very important to pay attention on these webinars, because the slightest, I mean, 3 little words could set something up in your head and your heart, like, wow, I get it. No, I could do something like that. And you don't have an idea until it hits you. But trust me, in the next, I'm gonna say in the next 3 weeks, you know how I like giving homework assignments out. And Lily Lane, I know we haven't even finished that last homework assignment I gave out, but I want you to practice in the next 3 weeks. When you're going to webinars, okay, and go to different ones, spread it out a little bit and see what intrigues you. See what words intrigue you. There's words out there that will light you up like a big Christmas tree, like, wow, and it's going to make you think. So I'm not one of those, I'm a, what do we call it? A daydreamer, where you could be talking, all of a sudden I'll be like, I'm on the lake fishing right now. What did they say? I'm a floater. But there's those words that you guys say every once in a while that says something off of my head. Like, well, I gotta talk about it. That's when I want you to raise your hand. Remember, no matter how silly or how funny you think it is with someone else, that might start an entire system to save a lot of people or help a lot of people. Kind of just like what Ash did. He built a system, designed it, dreamed it, not for himself, but to help a lot of people. So think like that. All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Janet, once again. My beautiful sister from PNG, Joanna, please unmute yourself. Joanna? There you go.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from PNG. Thank you for having me on. I've been listening to everyone speaking. My scenario is a little bit different from what everybody else was talking about. We normally don't experience yours and the big storms we normally face that here in our country, but there's a scenario here that way back in 2000, I had a personal experience, and that prompted me to reach out to do something that I did with I did on my own with no support. And when Oblast was introduced, and when I was introduced to Untitled by David Bacall, I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was something to do with the MLM marketing, and I didn't understand, but I only had to, because I trusted him. I know him, so I trusted him for what he told me. I just signed in. But as we came along, I realized that it is a different thing altogether from the MLM markets that we normally have here in PNG. So for me, it's a prayer answered. I always say this, and every day I always thank God for what he has taken me into, to David Bacow, and then thank you to Marty for introducing the business to PNG. And what I have taken into account in doing was I'm actually a single parent, and I had 3 children, and they were very small when the father passed. And it's like 33 years gone now when the father passed, but those 3 children were very small. And my baby son, this is where it prompted me to do what I did. And now this Unpassive thing came on, and I'm so thankful to God that this platform has come along, that I know I will reach out so many. So though I'm all single-handed myself, my last son was only 1 year, 6 months, and I raised him to year 17, and then I had him lost to some food poisoning. He took some food that was not good for him, and I rushed him to the hospital, but they couldn't save him. So I lost him at year 17. And then it was something like a pain in my heart that I complained, and I said, God, you should have taken him when he was small, and I should not have wasted all my time in raising him to this level. I had some complaint, turned out that, well, if I'm feeling this pain, there are other people who are losing their children to drugs, to feeling. So I better reach out and do something. So I started working with the street that I live in. I saw the street children, and I, with my own, once held them with the school fees, I did them a little bit of lunch, because I had that pain in my heart in losing my loved one. I thought, I could be of help to some other parents or people who they see their loved ones, they want to help, but there is no way they can help, like giving them a lunch or providing them food for dinner, for breakfast, all that. So I reached out in a small way, and then I started with the church that I go to church with. I talked to the pastor, and I said, I see this gap in there, and can we use that church to feed these children and try and identify and who needs school fees and all that. I'll chip in myself and try and support this, but can we use the church area? And then the pastor agreed. So every fortnight, I would provide them a meal through the church. The drug addicts, we have a lot of children, young people who take drugs because they are hopeless. We are out in PNG. People, when they cannot get a job, they turn into drugs. That's
Johanna, I'm so sorry. I'm turning off your video right now, Johanna, so that the audio can come through. So the audio can come through clear.
Hold on, Julie. Joanna, can you hear me? Joanna, try turning your camera off because your internet's getting real breaking up again.
I did, Chris. Thank you.
Did she freeze?
I believe she is. Her camera supposed to be off by now, but she freezes. So, okay. Yeah.
Joanna, if you can hear this, we'll come. Oh, she's gone. Papua New Guinea. God. Hey, Ash, hurry up, man. I need some internet over there. All right, Joanna, we'll come back to you if you come back on. Bruce, birthday boy, Gerstein, 106 years old. You're looking sexy. Go ahead, man. What you got to say?
Thank you. It's because I eat my Wheaties. I'm 100. Oh, God. What a joyful day it's been. Thank you so much, Janet, and all the Bahamians for what you've done tonight. You know, one of the things that I love about what you've done is you've seen the vision that it's important to have the strengths in your own community. Because when you have strengths in your own community, you can branch out from there. But when you have that base, things go stronger. I have some questions for you, though. My first question is, Janet, you said about, Bahamas is such a low-lying country. It's like being in Florida, but in the Bahamas. There's really no mountains, there's nothing high ground. So when you build these shelters, and I remember the devastation you had during the hurricane, it was so sad to see the water coming up and people being stuck while the water was coming up on the building. But so how would you build shelter? What is your plan for building shelters when you have such a low-lying ground? That's my first question. I think since Janet brought that up first, let's ask that of Janet.
Someone want to answer that from Janet?
I can take a stab at it. When we had the architects design our building, we had to build it above. They have a standard amount of footage above the ground level for us to build the shelter, so it had to be built above. There's a measurement they use in the area where you live, where the water has been known to come, and so we had to build it according to that code. We also had to use hurricane shelter windows. We also had to put more steel and tie beams and everything extra that was done to code. It had to be done towards, we have a hurricane code, so it's built to that. It is built to standard so that it could withstand X amount of wind, and like I say, for the windows are hurricane shelter, hurricane proof windows. And we had to build it above the level that is required by the government. This is mandated by the government for us for the hurricane shelter.
Right. So you would have to have pilings and have them up, like in the islands in New Jersey, where we had bad hurricanes, also or bad winds, and the water would rise. A lot of houses were built so that they were 10 feet above ground. So
ours is not 10. Ours is not 10 feet above ground, but I can't remember exactly the height. But it's built above level, and we have a ramp for the handicap access, and then there are steps that lead up to the building.
And my next question, when it comes to that, do you have the manpower and the technical capabilities in Bahamas to build this?
I can speak to that.
I don't know if Janet can answer that, but she has pictures they can show you where we're about 80% completed. Yes, we have all the manpower, and we have the technology, and we have everything that we need to build it. It's just the funds. Go ahead, and Mr. Pindo.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I'm a contractor. The building codes since 2019, pre-Dorian, is changing post-Dorian, and so right now, our building codes match Miami-Dade's building hurricane code. So that means that the average house is built with 3 feet above grade. And typically most of the islands are within 3 to 4 feet below grade. So we're building now by standard. Everything has to come 3 feet above grade. So the average foundation before Hurricane Dorian would have been, when we put our foundations down, we use number 5 rebar steel. So when we come up out of the ground, it can withstand a minimum of a hurricane, a category 1, which is a 76 miles per hour and above. Now that the codes are changing, we're gonna go perhaps to a minimum of a category 2. So all of our buildings as we build now, it's not that we get wiped away with storms, but based on the magnitude and the length, the duration of Hurricane Dorian, we're forced to increase even above the Miami-Dade codes. So in terms of the technical support and the manpower, like Ms. Garland said, we definitely have that. It's just that now, especially those homes on the coastal area, for Grand Bahama, Freeport is in the center of the island. And then you have the western and the eastern part of the island, which is mostly on the coastline. These are the areas that are more vulnerable to hurricanes because they will be the first impacted before it comes inland. And so in these areas, the houses, as they're going to be rebuilt or reconstructed, or even new constructions, they're going to have to meet those codes. So average foundation is going to be about 4 to 6 feet above sea level. Okay, so that's going to improve the ability for us to be able to stand flooding. And there's a general model that's being discussed where we'll have to put our houses on concrete pylons that are 3x4 with number 5 rebar steel in the center of it, so that the houses can now have water run underneath it as opposed to run into the houses. If you're living on the coastline anywhere in Grand Bahama and the Bahamas, you're going to see that be the common trait for us. Plus, we have the houses that are built out of wood, which are very durable. There's extra steps now where we're going to be using more screws instead of nails. And then you would have to have extra, we call hurricane clips. These are aluminum-like clips that they put every 2 feet throughout the ceiling. So we're going to be expected to put more.
Well, it sounds like you know what you're doing down there. And you also said that you also
looking for improvement on the.
You're breaking up. So you also said that the churches are involved with this building of what's going on there. And I heard that Janet said you have a lot of the churches that are also founders, which is fantastic because when you get money from Oblast, it never goes to the government. And it's not about being angry with the government. It's just that management of money is important with this. And the management of the money that you get from Oblast has to be separate from government. So if the church needs to build up, it uses money from Oblast to build up. If you need money for a shelter, it uses the money directly from Oblast. It never goes to the government. So you get the government to give you permits to build whatever you need to do. It doesn't matter what it is, the government is not be involved. But what I love is that you have unity in your community. And the beautiful thing about Oblast is that it's created the vision of hope for all of you to know that there is a solution for the situations and the challenges that are in the Bahamas, and also in Jamaica, and also in Antigua, and also in all islands in the Caribbean, because there's a lot of devastation going on there. We're lucky. We've had a lot of hurricanes that bypassed us, and we live in Florida. But you're doing a great job there, and I bless you all for what you're doing, and I hope that you grow and you grow and you grow, and we're all gonna come down there one day for Junkaloo. Do some calypso.
Yes, I like the sound of that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Brucey. Have a great birthday, brother. Thank you for those are 2 really good questions. So and great answers.
You guys have made it my birthday beautiful. Thank you so much.
We'll see you again next year, same time. But I'll be in Hawaii, sitting next to you, drinking a margarita or something. Man, we'll go to the Bahamas. We're gonna help them with this project. I think that's even better.
That'd be
all right. Beautiful, my beautiful sister Latoya. Unmute yourself, young lady. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, so thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. And it gives me the chance to compound the value of what we're doing with Oblast and these many, many projects to help around the world. So the way that I see it is that not only are we making a huge impact within the community at the time of the disaster, but also imagine the work that is going to have to be done. People who will be hired to do all these things, to build the buildings, to come in and help people in the shelters, in these hurricane shelters. We'll be giving people who may have never had the opportunity to have really good jobs, well-paying jobs, learning how to do engineering and to do construction and to do, go to governments and, get information on code and on the code enforcements and things of that nature. It gives people an opportunity not only to just be safe and protected in these situations, but then once the crisis is over, people have jobs to go back to. People, they won't, lose everything because they don't work. There's nowhere for them to work. So not only are we helping people in the moment, we're also helping people going forward by, providing jobs and a boost for their, just their well-being and their way of life. And then also getting the opportunity to add all these amazing technologies from OnPassive. I know Ash is so excited about, these other products that will be coming out over the next, towards, for the end of the year into next year and going forward. I would not be surprised if many of those products had something to do with buildings. I think it was actually mentioned earlier on. The technologies within the buildings, the technologies for new buildings, and technologies to help refit some of the old structures that are already there that haven't been completely damaged, and making them safer for people for when it's time for them to come back to their homes. So that is one of the things that I appreciate about the opportunities to be part of these charitable activities is we are setting these communities up to prosper after disaster. And I think that's fantastic. Thank you.
Wow, here comes LaToya. Here comes LaToya again. Thank you, LaToya. LaToya asked me the other day, and I'm honored, Chris, if anyone want me to help host the show or co-host. So guys, I listen, I already got a couple I already put in line. LaToya is definitely one of them. If you need help on one of your webinars or your show for a co-host, LaToya's stepping up her game. She would like to participate and help out with anyone that's interested. Get back with me, or if you know LaToya, let her know, because this girl's ready to rock it out. So LaToya, thank you once again. All right, who's this guy Jeff Pinder again? Come on, Jeff.
I am sorry, my hand was lifted earlier. I want to drop an idea, and I'm not sure if this has been discussed before. It's in line with what we've been talking about. One of the challenges that I find in dealing with any storm, the aftermath of a storm, of flooding, whatever the case is. In past, we've always had these issues with electricity, So I think in the Bahamas, I can speak for the Bahamas, we have 365 days of the year, and I would say 364 days of the year we get sunshine, all day, every day. So we're not maximizing. I'm an advocate for sustainable development. So perhaps there's an opportunity here for us to maybe package a post-hurricane kit that includes a solar system or solar pack that persons can use to energize their small area or their homes. We've got some pilot programs in one of the largest islands in the country. It's called Andros. It's one of the least populated, but there has been some NGOs that have outfitted a few of the elderly homes with solar systems that's adequate for lighting and maybe for refrigeration. and perhaps this is something that can be used through Unpassive to create, you know, maybe a product or access to bulk product that we can use for distribution post hurricane or post disaster, because that's one of the challenges. People don't have access to utilities or communication. You can't have communication without electricity. So maybe there's an opportunity for us to create something or partner with whoever's creating or invent something related to solar panels and solar systems that we can use for post-hurricane packaging, if that makes sense.
Hey, listen, you know what my policy, something is better than nothing. Everyone say in your head, ready? Something is better than nothing. And keep saying that because there's so many somethings out there and we do nothing about it. So Jeff, excellent. I love it. Karina Lance, come on, beautiful. Open up that mic.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Passivers, everybody here. I love you guys. I just wanted to come on and share a little bit of my passion besides on passive. For me, the ocean is my passion. So the ocean and animals, I want to clean the ocean. I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish that. It's going to be a chore and a half because I keep dumping into it. But I want to try to clean the ocean and maybe try, if possible, stopping them from dumping and try to find another solution. That's what I've been racking my brain with, trying to find a solution to what to do with our garbage, because we can't burn it, you know, that goes up into the air. We can't bury it. It goes into the earth. I don't know what kind of thing we can come up with to try to get rid of our garbage, but that's going to be a chore that I kind of want to look into, is that cleaning the oceans, the 4 oceans you probably heard of, where they have the machines that go through and pick up the garbage that way. So I'm going to get them lots of that stuff, and also with, you know, animals and sanctuaries and stuff like that. And then your simplicity when it comes to, you know, just food and water. That, I mean, to me, nobody should be without food and fresh water. It's a simple thing that I believe everybody should be entitled to. So those are my passions that I want to get into and look into, and as well with the Book of Angels, with, you know, getting the homeless off the streets and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to share with you. Thank you so much, Chris.
You are very welcome. Yep, Karina, at least some ding dong thousands of years ago thought of an idea to throw garbage in the ocean because it was so big, and you see what that helps. So where one idea didn't work so good, your idea, and it'll come to you sooner or later with a bunch of people, and we'll get those oceans cleaned up, because I'm a water guy. So good for you. Thank you very much, Karine. Oh, and my beautiful sister, Narelle Warkhan, who I haven't seen. I know she's there. She's gone through a lot of stuff. Welcome back, beautiful. Go ahead, Narelle, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for supporting Chris and Noblesse. It really is important. Thank you, Janet, Butler, and for all of those who spoke from your country. It really is important that we, what the saying that I goes, and I know Chris has his, but together we are stronger. Okay, that's one of the ones that I use a lot. We've had a lot happen over here in Australia, not only bushfires, but we go through very cyclonic weather in our summertime. It's now winter over here. And in 1974, Darwin was destroyed by Cyclone Tracy. You may remember, some may have heard, but it wiped the whole town out. On Christmas Day, they woke up to their town being flattened. 71 people were lost in that cyclone, which was quite amazing that it wasn't more. About an hour and a half north of where I live now, there was a cyclone came through in 2011, Cyclone Yasi, and with destructive winds of 250 kilometers an hour, which equates to about 155 miles an hour. The winds are just so destructive. But one thing I heard from our CEO the other day, or what I picked up on, which is, I think, is important that we all share, what we hear from our CEO, or what our perception is of what we hear, is that we are not here in Noblesse to give handouts. We are here to give hand ups. We are here to help those and lift humanity. not just handouts to make everything, a feed. I've always said that I don't want to throw money at people. I want to be able to change their lives. And one of the things I heard our CEO say was that let's not only just help these people in need, but also create an environment where they can learn, where they can step up and become more educated, where they can step up and they can be the leaders in their communities to be able to make the changes that are needed in their communities. It really is important that we understand that hand in hand, we are going to help so many countries, so many communities, so many of our neighbors, so many of our families. But I really want you to look at the fact that OBLESS will also be a platform. I think Ash said, look, we're always going to need people who are going to work in the supermarkets or, push the trolleys or pack things on shelves or wash our cars and things like that. And there will always be someone to do that. But for those who want to also reach halfway and step up, our children with education, we can't change our worlds unless we educate them as to what needs to be changed. If they've been living in society, their community, the way they have for so long, what do you think it's going to take to be able to change their mindset? Because mindset is huge here and it plays a big part with OBLESS, because we need to look at what it is that we need to change within their mindset that will help them sustain their community and sustain the changes that are going to happen in their world. So thank you, Chris, for allowing me to share. I just wanted to say that because I just felt really strongly with Ash the other day about changing and bringing those things about, with that mindset change, and also providing them that platform of, being more educated, with Academy and so much more. So I'm very excited, very blessed to be here. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone who shared today.
Ralph, thank you. Welcome back. Glad to see you are always were strong to me, but nice to see you smiling. And once again, a lot of condolences to your family. Narelle, I know you went through a lot, but we're always here for you no matter what. And guys, if anything happens like that in your life, Narelle had some deaths in the family, don't feel obligated that you have to be here. Family's always first in my book. Send me a message and I'm going to put prayers out like you wouldn't believe for you. But remember this, family's first. Passive is wonderful. It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's going to be important, but man, family needs you no matter what. So just remember that. Narelle, thank you again. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Ava, what's happening, my beautiful? Come on, open that microphone.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. I'm Ava from Bangladesh. In fact, I just wanted to share with you all that I got interested in ministry work since I was in the Middle East. And we used to help out there. And from there, actually, I was very much involved in all this. But when I came back to my own country in Bangladesh, I've seen the poverty, I've seen the things, really it's heartbreaking to see them. So especially during the floods that we have out here, the natural disasters, I mean, there's no fresh water, no drinking water as such. And it is really painful to see all this. So we need something. I don't know what. On my own, I can do nothing. But I know collectively, and there are many Bangladeshis out on passive as well, that they might come forward and help. So in my own small ways, whatever I can do, I try in order to help these people that are out in the streets. Like if I can provide them a meal, I do it. I do that. But like I always also said, it's not you give a man fish to eat, but teach him how to fish. If we can make provisions for them to do that and educate them, I think we can go a very long way. And because of this. From the very onset, I was quite interested in joining OBLES because I know there are like-minded people out here. I may not be so articulate to say much, but this is what I strongly feel, that we all together can help lift humanity. Thank you.
Ava, I want to, number one, I want to call you out because in the last few weeks, I've noticed you really outspoken from Bangladesh. You know what I feel about Bangladesh? Absolutely love the country. Got a lot of friends over there. I have left Bangladesh because I know they're strong and they're doing it on their own. And I'm glad, Ava, that you have brought yourself out. And listen, it's on the way. Help is on the way for every issue that's out there. Can we fix it right away? No, it's going to take a little time, Ava. But I promise you, my promise, that we'll get whatever they need over there when it comes to the flooding and the storms, whatever it is, OBLES is going to be there. And you got my word on that, Ava. Thank you for coming out. And I consider you once again, another rose that we pulled out of that weedy garden. So Ava, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Brian, do you have your hand up or did I just forget to take it down, Brian?
No, I just wanted to make another comment, but I just love to use other people's word and stealing from Ava now. I'm stealing Ava coin word, teach a man how to fish. And I just wanted to talk about one last item, that teaching a person how to fish. OBLES, let's move back to unpassive. Unpassive is going to give us the ability to ensure that we have people who are capable of affording to build homes to the standard that Jeff spoke about. Jeff Pinder spoke about all of the new codes. I will speak about one building and then I'll end my conversation so you can understand me and on a good note. There's one building on the eastern side of the island that was built by a lady in Florida, and she built it to the code. There were no damages and the house was dry inside when she went in. Practically all of the homes were damaged. If they were not damaged, they were wet. So I'm just saying, OBLES can help humanity. Unpassive will help us help our people to build houses, homes, buildings to code. Thank you for letting me speak again.
Brian, you can speak anytime you want. You guys are unbelievable show tonight. Now, I think it says 10:45. My old eyes can't see that far, but if there's no one else that has anything else to say, we can actually give our gratitude and thanks to these wonderful people. But if right now, let me give a last call. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to this? And we can actually shut it down a little early. I know Janet is dealing with her mom right now, but anyone, last call for a hand up. I'm going to put yours down, Brian. Anybody? All right. Oh, we got one. Robert Oates. Go ahead. I knew it. Why did I know you were going to do that, Robert? Go ahead, brother. Unmute yourself.
Hey, everybody. Just for the record, I mean, I've been listening to all these things been happening there, and I got thinking of like the last few weeks, my brain's been just out of whack and thinking all these things I can do with this, the oncoming apples coming. I got thinking about making maybe somebody here in Canada or somewhere in the world could make a factory that can make hydrogen motors, or what do you call it, something to still have, the sunlight, still the water, and make some, pumps here and there, free running off the grid. Number of things I've been thinking about too, with Jeff Pinder and Engineer Mike. In order to build these buildings and stuff, you got to make sure that ground is good and solid. There's lots of materials that, you can make better things that work, iron, steel, beams, cement, anything like something strong and tough, without not necessarily screw them all in, weld them in, make it permanent. And, I'm sure there's a lot of ideas of a lot of other guys, and that would create work, for the factories that make these engines, that pipes and stuff that has to be laid, all kinds of wire, and, lots of work. So we can be creative. You just got to put our minds together and do it. Get together. That's the main thing. That's all I want to say. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Happy birthday there, Bruce.
Absolutely, Robert. Where did William, where did Richard Lamute go? Richard, you had your hand up. You want to say something? Robert, thank you very much. I appreciate you, brother. You're looking good, man.
All you beautiful men, women, and children of the world, from the bottom of my heart. I've been listening, Oh God. I love this Oblast webinar. It's just unbelievable, I thought I've seen poverty, but this Oblast webinar has taught me, even the poverty that I see here and that I had doesn't compare to what's going on in the world. It's just sad, sad to see all that suffering everywhere, And one mention, about don't blame the governments all the time, because it's true. What that person said, they don't have the finances. They have the finances for war, but they don't have the finances to help people. Now, I remember asking a politician one time, why are you not helping the homeless people here in Canada or in the US? And he says, because helping other countries is political. Helping our own country is not political. That's the answer I received. So yes, there is corruption out there, but there's also good ones. There's also some that are really try, but they just don't have the power. But Oblast to me is going to make miracles, and all over the world. I'm already trying to figure out how to get a T-shirt that's going to say on Passive Angel, Alabama, and on Passive Angel, Ontario, and etc. I'm thinking once I'm blessed, and I'm going to travel. I'm going to travel all over the U.S. and Canada, and just promote on Passive and try and I will give them fish, but I will also at the same time teach them how to fish. That's my plan. I'm going to make sure I've got internet in the vehicle that I have, and I'll tell you, that money is going to fly and fly and fly to a lot of people. Every homeless person, every poor family that I see is going to get a on Passive commission position. I'm still trying to talk with an accountant how to fix it, but he's scratching his head too, because he says, this is too big. The man is an accountant, and he says, this is so huge. He says, I've got to study this, because I want to be charity by teaching how to fish. I also want to be a charity that I cannot get a receipt for. A person, if I buy him a position, he can't go and give me a receipt that's tax deductible. So that's what I have to figure out. I don't care if I have to give 30% of it to the government. They can have it. It's only I got to know, what is it better to rent a motorhome as a business to go all over the place, or to buy one? First thing he said is rent, because it's tax deductible. But that's my intention. Travel all over the place and just from city to city. The first place I go, believe it or not, is going to be the police department. Because if somebody knows where the homeless are, it's the police department. You know, but that's my intention. I want to spend the rest of my life helping other people that are still suffering. That's my plan. And I thank you all, and big kiss and big hug to all of you. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Richard. Always nice to hear your voice, brother. I always love when you sneak in the end. I just know you're going to do it, but we got one that beats you. Stella, you want to unmute yourself, Stella, please?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Stella. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, you can't see me. Good
That's okay.
evening. Hello, everybody. So good to be here. It's been a while I've spoken. I'm so grateful for everything that everyone is doing, even coming here. These minds that are full of love and compassion for our brothers and sisters that are less fortunate. Everything here is in my heart too, but I've been sitting here listening and wondering, you know, the communities that have this serious, destructive, inclement weather. And I'm wondering, is it possible to stop the destruction from happening by building better houses, maybe building walls? I don't know, you know, really solid concrete stone walls around communities and building homes in a different way. I know that when a home is cylindrical, if the walls are round, you know, rather than these rectangular buildings, if they are round, the wind or tornado, whatever, would hit it and go round. It would pass it, it would not pass through it. So I don't know, this is just a thought, you know, maybe we should begin to think how we can achieve that with the governments of each country or each city or state, I don't know, in all these communities, in all these places where people suffer, because some people have never known anything else. Some people who were living well, who had it all, suddenly have become, you know, have had nothing because of this. So is there a way we can stop it? Is there a way we can at least do something to stop this weather from destroying hard-earned, you know, achievements of people, so that people don't have to run out of their cities, people won't be hurt, people don't have to lose anything. I don't know. I know there are shelters, but can we build? Is there a way? Can we look at this and begin to think about it, begin to prepare to have a better future, better buildings, solid buildings that can withstand these things? But I do know for sure that circular walls are better than rectangular ones when it comes to tornadoes. And then when it comes to floods, I think that building walls, solid walls, real solid walls around communities would help. I live in Las Vegas. I know that in Las Vegas, there are beautiful communities walled off, but these walls cannot take flood, but we can build walls that can really withstand these floods and, you know, wall off the communities so that when those things happen, people don't have to lose anything. We won't lose lives and we won't lose property. That is one. And another thing I've been thinking, I have compassion for youths. Like in my country, I'm from Nigeria. Youths go through a whole lot. Even here, everywhere in the world, you know, youths are, when it's like when you become a youth, everybody forgets you. And we seem to forget that they have troubles, you know, they have confusion. A kid may think he or she is an adult now, but does not understand how the world functions. And then devastation comes and these youths are expected to be suddenly become parents or adults. In my country, the worst thing that happens to youths is education. You know, the university is always being on strike. And if there's something we can do for these youths, if there's a way we can bring them together to begin to talk to them about the future, about what to do for tomorrow in case of troubles like this, or how to, a better way to maturity, better attitude, and all that. I really feel bad for them. In my country right now, kids have not been going to school. The university students have been at home. The college students have been at home. And it happens all the time. I have a number of them that I care about so much, and I encourage them to go online. There's a lot of free education online, and some of them listened and are doing something while they're waiting for ASU. That's the body of university teachers, lecturers, to call off the strike so they can go back to school. So let's please remember the youths, even as much as we remember the homeless and all the less fortunate in our midst. This is also our calling. This is also our heart to take care of them so that tomorrow will be better for them, that we don't have to worry about their tomorrow, about the future, because they are the future. So thank you very much. I really appreciate everything. I just like to quietly listen. And thank you for letting me speak and for listening. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Actually, does anyone want to answer? So she actually brought some really good questions up. I know, Brian, you raised your hand. Do you want to answer some of those questions, or do you have something else you want to say?
I think I'll defer to Jeff. Let him speak first, and I'll speak after Jeff because he's directly in Grand Bahama. And my view is generally a countrywide view because I've been like on NEMA in my entire work life.
Perfect. Jeff, go ahead, buddy.
Thank you, Brian. Chris, the thing about the new codes and stuff is that we are considering there's who've made adjustments to the way that they build and on post-Dorian, and the reshape of homes is being taken. I know family members who are building domes, concrete domes. There's a wind factor that impacts a lot of the homes. One of the other consideration is people aren't building their homes with this big overhang anymore. The soffits are not as wide as they used to be. So regards to the water, even though we are coastal, the challenge is climate change, global warming. We have to anticipate the impacts of global warming because that's going to definitely, we don't have control of that. So the way that you mitigate that is by adjusting the construction methods, which is correct. Two methods are being considered widely is the idea of building your first floor 6 feet above ground, so that if there's a washout, the ground floor, water passes underneath the foundation or the ground floor of your house. The other consideration is, of course, to build your house cylindrical instead of building it rectangular, you build it round. So there's definitely some homes that have been built like that. In East Grand Bahama, where the storm really devastated the island, there are several homes that meet those requirements. For a house that's built, not on stilts. I don't like the term stilts, but if you know what I mean, they're built in columns, and the columns are 6 inches in diameter, and they are 6 feet, up to 6 feet tall. Some of them are even up to 8 feet tall. And so in the event that you have a water surge, which is deadly as well, the water passes underneath that first level, and the house stays intact. There's several homes that we're using as models. It's funny, somebody mentioned it earlier. There's a gentleman's house right here in our community in West End who was a good friend of a former president. And they, as a gift to him, came a few years ago and rebuilt his house. And we were impacted by Hurricane Matthew a few years ago. And that was the only house in that area where there was impact that had no issues. Water went right underneath the floor, and it's fine. They were dried out. They had no issues. So that's a cheaper model. The more expensive model is going to use round models. Concrete is a big part of our construction method. Somebody mentioned the ground of the Bahamas, we're limestone base. So 6 inches down on the ground, you can strike solid rock. So what we do is we make sure that the foundation of the homes are dug into that ground. And so we don't have that issue. We also don't have a real issue with water, access to water, because of the amount of fresh water we have in the Bahamas. So in terms of rebuilding and the way that we build, I'm certainly in my neighborhood, I'm very coastal. My house right now is about 5 minutes away from the water. I'm walking. And we're considering seriously about taking that whole front coastline and just building strong piers made out of solid concrete to help buffer the impact of the water coming across into the island. Thank you for listening.
There you go. I'm pretty sure that answered your question. Man, Jeff, I need to have a cup of you in that nighttime with all that stuff going on through your head. Thank you. That was a great answer. All right, Brian. Go ahead, Brian. Unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciated you. I just want to speak from a broader perspective because I think sometimes the impact of some of these hurricanes are not known. Particularly the last hurricane, Dorian, we had up to about 23 feet of water on land. So if you imagine that type of environment, putting up a wall and all this other infrastructure, if your building is not built to code, it will not withstand this type of water ingress to the land. And then you're talking about hurricane winds. So I just want to give you an appreciation for that. And then after that, I just want to piggyback again. I love piggybacking on everyone's good idea. Jeff spoke about us deteriorating our earth. We need to start preserving the earth so little countries like ours can reduce all of this major impact that we're having on our society whenever there's a hurricane, because the hurricanes were not so severe. They're just becoming worse and worse. So we all could build a better world. We'll have a better place that we can live in. Thank you for letting me speak again.
You're welcome, Brian. Actually, very, very wise words there. Okay, June Buckingham, I believe you're the last hand. And I gave a last call, and thank God I did, because look at all the people that would come out to speak. So June, please unmute yourself, my beautiful sister.
Hello, Chris. Great webinar, guys. You guys hit a lot of where I have experienced, because I lived in Florida for 18 years. In the year 2005, we got hit with 5 hurricanes. Now I live here in Southeast Texas, another hurricane alley here, as we get the ones off the Gulf. But Louisiana got hit most last year. But what I was, we have a town called Port Arthur. No matter what, it doesn't need to be a hurricane. They always flood. And now when people are rebuilding their houses, they're putting them up on those stilts that that gentleman was talking about. So I know exactly, you know, what he was talking about building them up so the water goes underneath them. And the families are, you know, now not dealing with the water. Their insurance is has come down because they're built their house up, so they're not going to be getting flooded. And it all has to be hurricane strength. So when they do come through, you know, they don't get the damage like the homes that are still on the ground. But Port Arthur, they're always under the water. We just had a rainstorm last week, and the roads out there had just flooded tremendously. Cars, you know, they always say, don't go through, turn around, don't drown, but they still want to go through it. But that's all I had to say. And you guys did a great webinar. Hit a lot of spots with me, as in hurricane, because I've been through a lot of them myself. Thank you guys. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Miss June. Appreciate you. Okay, anyone that puts their hands up, I'm gonna have Albert beat you up. I'm joking. Guys, I want to say, first of all, let me thank the stars, which is everyone but the main people, which was Janet Butler. I'm not sure if she's here anymore. I know that she's taking care of her mom. Please say a prayer for Janet and her mom. They're going through some struggles right now. Also, Karina Mikes. You know what? I'm just going to say, I guess she had fallen and she had injured herself pretty good. Please say some prayers. Don't tell her I told you, but I believe in prayer so much. Pray for both those two wonderful ladies and everyone else out there that needs prayers, because I know there's a lot of you out there. Miss Alicia, Mr. Jeff, Mr. Albert, Raphael, Miss Mercelin, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the OBLES and teaching people why something is doing better than nothing, if I said that right. You know what I'm saying. What you guys got going is amazing to me. Keep it up. I'm going to say, like I say every week, is, hey, Bahamas, OBLES and Impassive, we're coming to help. And that goes for every other country that needs help. I believe it's going to be strong and beautiful, because I'm looking at people from different cultures, colors, genders, races. I mean, we got it all. How can you stop us? We are a force to be reckoned with, as they say. All right, because we have all good people here of every kind of culture, which I absolutely love. We are, what did they used to say about New York? That's the melting pot. Nah. Unpassive is the melting pot, and we're stirred everyone up. We all know each other. We all respect each other, and we're just gonna kick some, excuse my language, OBLES is gonna kick some ass fixing problems that we haven't fixed in many years. And Bahamas, we're gonna come and we're gonna take care of that. Bangladesh, Africa, wherever your need, we're going to be there. And I promise you that it's going to help because of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Daryl Cook, once again, thank you for taking the notes. I know he went to bed a long time ago. I'm betting on it. Julie Went, thank you for co-hosting and running the show. Everyone that spoke, I've seen a few really great people in here again, which are all of you, but some of you caught my attention. You triggered that in my brain, and I wrote your names down. I think that you're all phenomenal. And I know you're all tired, and you're tired of listening to this big mouth talk. So at this point, unmute yourself. God bless you all. Oh, bless you all. And say goodnight.
Thanks,
All right.
Chris. Love you all.
Thank you all. God bless. God bless.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Henry.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
God bless all.
Bye, everyone.